Hi, Body and Messiah. We're back with continuations of the lessons for the series LFA, Lawless Fallen Angels. Lesson 5 specifically. This lesson is going to branch off from the previous lesson 5, where we covered specifically Genesis chapter 49, verses 9 through 10, where it speaks about the scepter shall not depart from Judah. We wanted to focus in on these lessons. They're going to be very brief. This lesson 3, there's going to be a lesson 4 that's going to be very short, and also a lesson 5. We wanted to zoom in and focus on this to show you that prophetic messages of old by our Most High God was given over Judah, a specific descendant of the household of Israel. And we want to cover this to show how vital it is for various groups of Israel, and we're just focusing on one in these next couple of lessons, are ordained or given a task, specifically when it says that a lawgiver shall not be from up under their feet until Shiloh come. They're going to have rulership when it comes to the areas of specifically ruling by the standards of the Most High God, and ruling and making sure to call out injustices, things like that. When you look at that prophetic scripture, even until present time, you'll see descendants of Judah who specifically function in that manner. We wanted to take time out inside your Bible studies because there is an aspect that I'm realizing that a lot of people who know who we are actually know who we are as being descendants of Jacob, of Israel, and Hebrew descendants of Patriarch Abraham. They are functioning in a way where the lawless fallen angels are placing strongholds in their lives, mentally and spiritually. So let me see if I can refine it to be specific and direct. When we covered in LFA Lesson 3, we talked about the various ways that the fallen angels, which are the dead Nephilim, evil spirits, are the spirits of the dead Nephilim, right? They cause trouble, cause offenses, cause destruction. So specifically in the task of causing offenses, we're noticing inside your Bible study that various people, specifically those who know who we are, find reasons and grounds to be offended by certain people who are functioning in the purpose Adonai has given them, because they are not following Adonai's word to the letter as they're trying to. Okay? None of us are perfect. None of us abide by Adonai's standard without any flaws. That's why Adonai Elohim probes the heart of man to see where their loyalty lies. Okay? So in specific way in which the evil spirits can function within the household of Israel in an adverse way is by causing offenses. So people will pick out anything. That's why we have such a diverse group of people who are here representing descendants from the men of Judah, of the tribe of Judah, and women of Judah. Okay? We know that majority of these people are descendants of Judah because in their ancestry are those who were brought over in the transatlantic slave trade from the kingdom of Judah. Okay? The kingdom of Judah is huge, and it was huge during that time. So majority of those brought over in the transatlantic slave trade are descendants of Judah. I'm not saying that they're not descendants of other tribes, but specifically we know they came from the descendants of Judah. So in looking at these various groups of people, various people that we have placed up here, that's not all of these people we haven't listed. It would be miles long if we listed all of the people who are pivotal in fighting against injustice in the against the prison industrial complex of America, okay? And throughout other nations. But we wanted to point out this because we're pointing out people who are not specifically under the umbrella of a Hebrew Israelite group or a congregation. We wanted to point out that Adonai Elohim works through various people to build up kingdoms and to also tear them down. And when we're warring against spiritual principalities that are in dark places, that are in all these high places of so called authority throughout the government structure, through entertainment, and various other things, God does not have one group from a particular fold. There are going to be many from various aspects that are going to war against the system that has been ingrained throughout the world to fight against the actual children of Israel. When we look at Revelation chapter 12, we know when the dragon was wroth with the woman, her descendants, and those who hold on to the commandments of the Most High Yah and have the witness of Yeshua, right? These are people from various backgrounds. Who's to say that these various people we have here, even those who identify as being from the Nation of Islam, do not acknowledge who our Messiah is and who we are as a people? But even if they do not, they still function to tear down those demonic structures that war against the actual descendants of Israel. So, body of Messiah, we have to do our best to not find a reason or a cause for an offense that will cause us to be derogatory about any of these descendants of Judah. I hope you understand and realize a part of God's prophetic words state in Jeremiah chapter 31 that the branch of Ephraim, Israel, and Judah, all these branches are going to come together. They're going to come together in peace. They're going to come together in unity. That does not mean everybody throughout those branches are going to function in one same identical pattern. They have to come together somehow. And by coming together in unity, we have to make sure we guard our spirit from becoming angry or hostile towards people and trying to find an offense in order to be angry or hostile towards a various person, a person who is an actual descendant of Judah or Israel for any reason, right? That is of the enemy. We have to pray for one another. We have to build each other up, because this battle, as the days go on and these latter days, will intensify and increase. As you see all these judgments falling on the various nations, and specifically in America, you're going to see that the enemy is going to do his due diligence, working through demonic structures and people who welcome the demonic to try and harass the descendants, the Kedoshim. Okay? So let me point out, you'll see in here, these are people who are of old, who have passed on. But they all were pivotal in here, these top three, in igniting change that would help to set the captives free, who were unjustly abused, misused, and imprisoned and oppressed by the beast system. You'll notice that there are even actual people who proceed after them who continue in that manner. For example, like Malcolm X and Minister Farrakhan proceeds in that manner, calling out the abominations of the U.S. and other nations, all right, against God's people. You'll see here, Martin Luther King Jr., you have his son, Roland Martin, who has a news channel or station. Yeah, I understand that he's not running around ministering, pastoring to people like his father did, but he is giving injustice a hard time. He still, from his platform, is able to call out various things that are happening in our society today. You know that lynchings didn't stop back decades ago. They're still currently happening today. So you have people on his platform that he invite that profess and call out these evils in society that exist today. There's another gentleman named Rashad Ritchie. Oh man, he is continuously on the backs of those who are carrying out injustice, and he calls that out specifically when it comes to black and brown descendants of Israel. But their platforms are very, very pivotal, a portion, an important part of being against the system that has been put in place to oppress God's people. When you look at the gentleman Fred Hampton, right? Because he did what was honorable in the eyes of the Most High God, the beast system came at him hard and took his life, almost took the life of his wife and his child, right? His son. But because he did what was honorable in the Most High God, there were people from various groups, even people from like the Ku Klux Klan and different white nationalist group who came in under his umbrella because he was for building up poor communities, no matter who they were, right? So even though he may not believe as specific groups who know who we are as a people, he was very integral in tearing down strongholds, even through his death. The fact that he was unjustly murdered, and the fact that he was killed before the world, and people knew it was because he spoke out against the evils of America and other countries. Okay? So I'm pointing out this so we can look at all of these different various people and groups. You got Dr. Shahrazad Ali. She speaks against the prison industrial complex, but she comes from an avenue of black unity and black love between man and woman, getting married and being able to nurture their children, to try and keep them out of a chaotic system that is built to oppress them. You have people like Dr. Frances Cress Wellesley. She was integral in dealing with the psychology of how white supremacy, that structure is in place, and how we have to fight against it, and pointing out all these different things in which why white supremacists are so fearful of the actual descendants of Israel. Well, black people, I'll put it that way. Okay, she never used the term actual descendants of Israel. You have people like Mr. Risa Islam, who kind of falls up under this umbrella with Malcolm X, him and Dr. Umar Johnson, Benjamin Crump. They fight for the poor, the needy, the fatherless, those who are being continuously oppressed by an unfair, unjust system. You'll find people trying to find offenses all throughout from these various people. Tamika Mallory, who lost her the father of her child to violence, police violence, brutality. You have Marilyn Mosby. This lady was very outspoken when it came to trying to press charges against the officer who murdered Freddie Gray. So she was fighting against that and trying to being a part of the being an attorney, trying to bring charges up. It kept getting knocked down, and she tried. So now you're looking 7, 8 years later where they were trying to place her in jail for doing something that everybody at that same occupation level did, and taking money out their own retirement fund. All these people do it, but they were trying to prosecute her and send her to jail for taking money out early, which she needed to do when we were under the COVID situation, right? But by the grace of the Most High God, she doesn't have to spend any time in jail. But we know that's the beast system warring against those who try to uplift and fight for those who are oppressed. So all of this is going on. These people of various background, right? They're not on the exact same page of those who identify as Hebrew Israelite, but they work together to tear down strongholds. So we have to measure our spirit, being actual descendants of Israel, to pray for the unification and the growth, and to tear down and break the pride of our oppressor, that the Most High God will continue to do so, right? He's already prophesied of that, and this is going to continue to happen until our Messiah returns, okay? So let's be on the right team. I want to attach a video of a couple of these people. One person I know I'm going to attach a video of is Mr. Brian Stevenson. Probably about 10 years ago, he popped up on my radar when I was praying before the Most High of where he would have me go. And I ran across him and began to research the background of the things he was pivotal in doing. He was the main initiator of the lynching memorial. The lynching memorial is the only structure of such throughout the world that acknowledged that black people, actual descendants of Israel, were lynched, brutalized, abused, oppressed by a system. It was systemic. And he acknowledged that and helped to build up a memorial. There's none such throughout the world, throughout the U.S. or anywhere on the planet, okay? So it memorialized our ancestors and what they went through, so it shall be acknowledged. But one thing people don't realize that he was doing during that time is that he literally met with the family who were descendants of those who were lynched. He would go to the area in which they were murdered or lynched, and he would dig up some of the soil and they would put it in a container because their blood cries out, you know. And he prayed with that family in order to have healing within their spirit. Now, he's not a pastor or a minister, but he's doing what God has called him to do, which works to destroy the spiritual stronghold of oppression that the enemy has put in place over these various regions. God has called him to do that, and he served in that purpose thoroughly. So, like I say, be mindful of who you're seeking to cause an offense against or having an offense against just because they do not follow the way you abide by God's standard, because he was called for a purpose. When I watched the video where he's talking about the prison industrial complex, is some of the stuff is going to be kind of brutal to perceive, but I want you to be humble and listen and think within yourself. How do you function to work and fight against the system? We know it's not easy. We know a lot of us, including myself, many others, millions who know who we are, when we began to profess that the beast system come against us financially, medically, spiritually, mentally, we know this. But as you observe him in this video and what he's talking about, instead of finding an offense, think about what you're doing within your own household. We're not going to try and make it a national level thing, but focus on what you're doing within your own household in order for us to bring unity to the descendants of Israel in order to break the pride of our oppressors. Do you pray for those within your own household who are sick? Do you pray for those who are being oppressed and place them before the Most High Yah so that these strongholds can be broken off of them? Do you yourself function in a way to uplift those who are downtrodden? We have to do that so we will take our mind and our focus off being offended for the least reason, minimal reasons, okay? None of us are perfect, and we got to proceed in a humble spirit so that we can proceed in a manner that will fulfill ADONAI'S word to the best of our capability. So let's not abide by what the enemy, the traps that they lay, and trying to get us snared into being offended by simple stuff. Uplift and pray for those who are warring against the system, even if they're not of our same group or denomination or what have you, okay? Because God's word is going to be fulfilled. I want you to be mindful of, Body Messiah, specifically for the descendants of Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 30, no matter what your background is, your heritage, or what nationality or color you are, or race you identify with. He said all of the curses that used to be placed on the descendants of Israel will be placed on those who hate them. So that can also be within the household of Israel. So be very cautious about being so offended that you begin to degrade and have anger or hatred towards others, and specifically, especially descendants of Israel. Well, Body Messiah, this is the end of this particular lesson. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is going to be very brief. But like we always say to you, may Adonai Elohim cover and surround you and your family, shield and protect you all, and envelop you all with his shalom peace. Goodbye.